to DC vs. Marvel month here on Reaction and Review. Tonight, guys, we're checking out a film from 2016. That movie is Batman the Killing Joke. Now, this one is the movie people have been begging me to watch for months now. And frankly, I have been waiting for the right moment to finally cover it, and the right moment is now. I pre-ordered this thing when it was first announced because I wanted to watch it that badly. I actually was this close to saying fuck it and just watching it in my spare time and just saying screw doing a video on it. But no, I held back. I cannot wait. Now, for those of you who have not heard of The Killing Joke, it is a movie based on one of the most popular Batman stories ever written. In fact, to many, it is the best Batman story ever written. I would say it's the second best, but that's because I am incredibly partial to the Dark Knight Returns. As a little bit of trivia, the animated adaptation of The Dark Knight Returns still stands tall as my favorite in these direct-to-video DC animated movies. How is The Killing Joke going to fare? I have heard mixed things about this movie, guys. I've heard some people bitch. I've heard some people praise it. I've heard some people just go, it's just, I have no idea. I certainly have high hopes on it, otherwise I wouldn't have thrown money at it. I want this thing to be great because I love the book it's based on. But the only way I'm going to find out, guys, if this thing is any good at all, is if I shut up and I push play. And I'm going to do that right now. So, without further ado, it's time to kick back, relax, and check out Batman the Killing Joke. Yeah, guys, a lot of this is really interesting, but I'm still waiting for the actual Killing Joke story to start. You know, because when I turned on the fucking Killing, joke, I thought we'd be right into the thick of it with Barbara getting shot and Joker running off with Commissioner Gordon. No, we are nowhere near that right now, and all of this just feels like filler. And considering how short this fucking movie is, filler's the last thing we fucking need. I'm certainly hoping for the actual story to kick off. Good God, I really want the actual story to kick off, but at least what we're seeing is okay. It just isn't the Killing Joke. Well, guys, good news. We're finally past all the fucking padding. Bad news, took a half an hour to do it in a movie that's less than an hour and 20 minutes long. If there's anything that is going to potentially destroy this movie, it is the fact that the first half hour was 100% unnecessary. That was absolute bullshit, dude. Well, guys, now, honestly, that we're finally getting into the actual Killing fucking Joke story, what's here is really good. It's still kind of a pity it took us a half an hour to get to the good shit, but at least now that we've gotten into the good shit, I'm loving this. I really fucking am. I swear, guys, this thing is so awesome. I still just can't shake the fact that the first half hour has no reason to fucking exist. But I'm going to wait until the movie's done to really go into detail as to why. I am going to say this, though. Everything after that first 30 minutes has been fucking legendary. I love this shit, man. Well, guys, that was Batman the Killing Joke. Let's shut that off, and I need to talk about something for a minute. There's two big things I need to discuss. One of them I kind of knew I was going to have to talk about anyway, because it kind of goes with the Killing Joke itself. But I'm going to hold off on that, because this is more important. This first thing. I've banged on about it this entire video, but god damn it, let's talk about that first 30 minutes. Let's go in detail. Alright? First 30 minutes of this film has jack shit to do with the Killing Joke story itself. It has nothing to do with it at all, outside of the fact that Batman and Barbara Gordon are in that first 30 minutes. I still don't know why it's there. Was it to pad out the movie to 77 minutes? Because you could have done something else. You could have padded out the actual killing joke story itself. Maybe give a little bit more of the Joker's background. You know, because we have so many flashbacks that show how he became the Joker. You know, you could maybe have shown his first couple of crimes as the Joker. You could have shown maybe a couple times when he absolutely bombed at comedy clubs. You could have broadened that. You could have broadened his psychological torture of Commissioner Gordon. You could have extended, you know, his treatment of Barbara Gordon, which would have been really fucked in the head, but it would still have been an option. There's a lot of shit you could have done to have taken the Killing Joke and expanded it to 77 minutes. The one option you shouldn't have taken was cook up an absolute bullshit story that has zero to do with the Killing Joke, is tonally different from the Killing Joke, slap it and then slap it on the front and expect that people are not going to get pissed. Motherfucker, you wasted 30 minutes of everybody's time with a story that has nothing to do with the fucking story we came to watch. Jesus Christ. And the big thing, guys, about that first 30 minutes, I know why they put it in, and it wasn't just for padding. They also wanted a little bit of shock value. So, naturally, out of left field, Batman and Barbara, Batgirl, have fucking sex on a rooftop, which is totally out of character for both of them. It feels so out of place and strange. And they wanted that in there so that way people would fucking talk about it. Guess what? It was fucking stupid, and whoever the fuck wrote this, who the hell wrote this thing? Brian Azzarello. Motherfucker, you know how to write Batman. You've written Batman for fucking years now. What the fuck was that shit? Holy hell. I've never been this pissed off, guys, at fucking filler. But you took one of the greatest Batman stories of all time, and you thought you could improve on it by tacking stupid shit at the start. Fuck you. Right in the goddamn neck. Holy shit. Beyond that, beyond Brian fucking Azzarello going out of his way to try to ruin this goddamn thing, the writing is great. Why? Because it's the Killing Joke. And it's almost, in many spots, it is word for word the Killing Joke. It is in quite a few spots, it is word for word Alan Moore's text. So, good job, at least all of that was cool. But that first 30 minutes ruins this thing, because it shouldn't be there. I would have been more than happy if Warner Brothers and DC Comics would have put out a 50-minute movie, 40 or 48-minute, whatever the fuck, without all of that shit, and it was just the Killing Joke. I would have been happy if you would have broadened out the actual Killing Joke story, and I would have trusted somebody like Brian Azzarello to do it. Because again, he's written Batman for fucking years now. He would know how to do it. But no, apparently, he thought that we needed Batman and Batgirl fucking on a rooftop and a mafia's son who's got the hots for Batgirl. You know, shit that feels so tonally different from the Killing Joke, it almost hurts. And as soon as it ends, there is almost a literal audible thunk between it and the actual story we all came to fucking see. Okay, so I could totally bang on about that and how it's fucking pointless and stupid and worthless, and this human being should be fucking ashamed for having written it. But I've got other things I have to talk about. Now, the other thing that, and this I knew I was going to have to talk about, because the Killing Joke is one of the most popular Batman stories ever written. One thing about it is the ending. Specifically the final page of the book, because people have looked at that final page and they have essentially interpreted the ending multiple ways. I am not going to go into spoilers. I don't want to go into detail and start throwing out what I thought the ending meant or how I think the ending should have been read. I'm just going to say right now that they picked probably the safest option, and that's almost guaranteed to piss off a good chunk of the fan base who read the ending far darker than what was seen here. That honestly is about all I can say is a guaranteed problem when you're doing when you tried to make the Killing Joke into a film was you were going to alienate people with the ending because of how many different ways the ending has been seen by different people. who read the book. So I honestly am not going to fault them for it, because they had to pick one way of ending it, and the ending here is fine. I would honestly have preferred the far darker reading of the ending, but that honestly is just me. So yeah, writing here is fantastic. When we actually get into the killing joke itself, that first 30 minutes is honestly one of the shittiest Batman things I have ever witnessed. Because not only, guys, is it tonally different from the actual film, but it's just dull. It's a poorly written Batman story on top of that, which is why I'm even more surprised at the writing credit, because, again, Brian fucking Azzarello can write better than this. I've seen him write better than this. Multitudes of times I've seen him write better than this. I really want to know what the fuck was going through his head when he wrote that first 30-minute chunk. Because it was terrible. It was terrible on almost every standard you could put for Batman. It sucked. And honestly, its very presence here borderline ruins the movie. And it just good. I'm going to move on beyond that, because I swear, if I think about it too much, this whole fucking video is just going to be me bitching about that first 30 minutes. So, let's move on, because writing, I've already talked about writing plenty. Acting. You know, when I first heard that they were bringing back Conroy and Hamill as Batman and Joker, I was both happy and also disappointed. I was happy because I know that the two of them can do fantastic work as Batman and Joker, but also, on the other hand, I like to see other actors come in and take these, roles. It would have been awesome if Warner Brothers would have gotten a couple of new actors in, perhaps tried to inject some fresh blood into the story. However, similar also to the ending the ending of the movie, going with the ultra safe option and going with Conroy and Hamill, it totally works. And I'm going to say right now, out of all of Mark Hamill's performances as the Joker, this one is without question his best, because he gets to stretch out, because he gets to play a pre-Joker Joker. And he gets to really put a whole lot of life, and he gets to put a whole lot of feeling into it. And you can tell that when he's doing the monologues, which are from the Killing Joke book, I'm talking about the bit where Joker talks about how it just takes one bad day to make a person snap. Hamill is absolutely overjoyed to be reading it. You can hear the sheer bliss in his voice. He is so happy to be reading that bit. Frankly, anybody would be happy to read that bit, because it's so well written. He does such a good job of it. And then the ending, before the ending itself, Joker tells Batman a joke, and it's a really cheesy joke, and it's kind of stupid, and you need somebody who can make it work, and Hamill makes it work. He does. He makes it work incredibly well. That joke is shit. I am not even going to front. That joke sucks. I actually laughed at it because of how Hamill told it. It was done that well. Conroy came in, and he has done the same Batman he has done for decades now, and that's totally cool. That totally works, and the rest of our cast does a spectacular job. I really liked how the actors worked all of this. The acting was fantastic. The acting, and before anyone thinks I'm going to harp more on that first 30 minutes, the acting in there was good. It's just that the writing was pig shit. So yeah, I honestly can't even bitch about the acting in that first act, because the acting there was still really solid. I just wish that it wasn't the fuck there. Anyway, animation, art style. The art style in this it's slightly different from everything else we've seen in terms of all these DC animated movies, and it works. It looks incredibly well. The one problem I might have when it comes to the art style, the animation, and the color work is, one thing about The Killing Joke that makes it incredibly memorable is when it was first published, it had this bright, garish color fucking scheme, where there are just these bright colors everywhere. And then later on, it was republished, and it had a dark, more fucking, like, muted color scheme put in. So when I went into this, I was hoping that they were going to go for the early fucking printing's bright, garish-looking color set. And they didn't. Instead, they went for a more muted and subdued and dark color, scheme. But still, it totally works. It's just, if I had my preference, I would have gone for the brighter, more garish, wild, weird-looking color set that was in those early printings of The Killing Joke. Again, though, that is totally just me, and that, once more, is something that, when you're touching this project, is going to alienate people no matter how you fucking spin it. So, again, I honestly am not going to fault them for not picking the color, scheme I personally would have gone for, because you had two options, and both of them work. And I am not going to bitch because they didn't take the preference that I would have taken. That's just me, though. Animation here is smooth, art style looks awesome, our sound mix here is great, our music is awesome. Guys, when all is said and done, can I recommend Batman the Killing Joke? Holy shit. Sure. If you can find it cheap. I'm going to tell you right now. Because that first act ruins it. That first act is the big deal fucking breaker for it. I spent $17 on this goddamn thing, and I feel slightly ripped off because of that first act. So if you can find it for like $10 or less, jump at it. Jump at it, party on, rock and roll. But if you can find it, but if you find it for more, pass on it, because that first act should not fucking be there. Now, if Warner Brothers puts out, like, a special version of The Killing Joke that cuts that first act, I will buy it in half a fucking heartbeat, and I will throw this, I'll throw this thing in the fucking garbage. But however, though, until then, I am stuck with it, and I'm gonna have to chapter skip beyond that first act in order to actually enjoy the film. You shouldn't have to do that with movies. I think that's why I'm telling you to look for it if it's cheap. Otherwise, avoid it. Just totally avoid it. Now, while The Killing Joke is one of my favorite Batman books of all time, how does this rank amongst all of the DC animated films I have seen? Because I've talked about how my top three are the Dark Knight Returns, Return of the Caped Crusaders, and All-Star Superman. Those top three are unchanged. Now, if this didn't have that first act, this thing would probably have passed All-Star Superman and taken third. However, because that first act is there, this thing here probably wouldn't even make it into a top 5, because that first act, it ruins the pacing of the film from the word go, and once more, it is so tonally fucking different from everything else that is in the movie that it honestly is detrimental to the final product. So, once more, if you guys can find this thing cheap, pick it up, go for it, but to pick it up at full price, to pick it up new, I'm warning you, that's probably not the smartest option out there. Now, as has been the way with all of these films, there are a few episodes of Batman on here. One of them is Christmas with the Joker, which I haven't watched in quite a few years. And I remember that episode being fucking amazing. And so, I'm going to go watch both of those, and then I'm probably going to throw in the I'm going to throw the Dark Knight Returns back in, because I haven't watched that in like a year maybe. So I think it's time I gave it another watch, because goddammit, that movie is so fucking good. Anyway, my friends, with that we come to the close of another reaction and review. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, take care, and I will see you all in the near future. Peace.